So, you know how it was very effective when the Washington Post had their slogan, Democracy Dies in the Darkness. And that said everything. And that seemed to be a direct response to the first Trump presidency. Remember how Trump was trying to keep the press out? He was pulling press credentials for the White House press briefing room. And even during the campaign, he had Corey Lewandowski was putting the press off in these bullpens and manhandling them. uh, it was ugly, and we'd never seen anything like it before. So it seemed a little bit that our media, after first doing a whole lot to give us Trump, remember all those clicks and ratings. Then CBS head Les Moonves said, "Hey, Trump may be bad for the country, but he's great for business," or something along those lines. And so it seemed that maybe at least print media was starting to try and do their jobs. Maybe cable TV still needed the Trump thing, and maybe they're just infotainment. But we had some hope. Well, that all went out the window, and Jeff Bezos, well, let's see. He decided when he found out that his editorial board was endorsing Kamala Harris. The paper endorses a presidential candidate, every 4 years. He said, no, we're just not going to endorse anyone. I mean, this was shocking. We're not a newspaper anymore. We don't want to offend Trump. And he claims because he thought, well, that showed a bias. Well, he doesn't understand journalism. This is why owners of newspapers are supposed to keep their nose out of the journalism part of things, out of the editorial part of things. They are not journalists. They are just businessmen. So when Jeff Bezos decided to do that, he showed his hand. And since then, he's, kissed the Mar-a-Lago ring and given $1 million to the inaugural committee. He's all in. He's not even hiding it anymore. But let me tell you a little bit about what's happening at the Washington Post. Then we'll go talk about some of these other ones. This was, let's see, Wall Street Journal is reporting this. There's been a $100 million loss. The Post had 54 million digital visitors in November of 2024, according to media measurement from ComScore, down from 114 million in November 2020. So they lost more than half of their digital visitors to their site. More than half. That's pretty bad. And this happened after this. Once Bezos basically went in and threw a bomb into the editorial, into the newsroom, he had top people quitting. According to the Journal, the changes inside the Post have left many staffers frustrated and confused about the future. The people close to the newsroom said. Journalists across areas from politics to national security, including Ashley Parker, Michael Scherer, Tyler Pager, and Hannah Alam, have defected to publications such as the New York Times, The Atlantic, and ProPublica. Josh Dawsey, a political investigations and enterprise reporter, is leaving for the Journal, where he worked before the Post, adding national editor Phil Rucker, investigations editor Peter Walston, and senior national investigations editor Rosalind Helderman are in the latest batch of newsroom leaders taking calls from other publications. They deserve what they get at the Post, Bezos does, because he basically took one of the best, most respected and best journalism outlets in this country, in our history, and he ruined it just to kiss Trump's ring. That's not unbiased. If they were for some reason endorsing Trump, you bet he would have let that endorsement go through. He was obeying in advance. He wants the tax cuts for Amazon. That's what he cares about. That's what he's about. I think we should have some rules about who can own major media outlets. And then I don't know how we have laws about keeping them out of the editorial decisions, but something has to be done. I say this as somebody with a journalism degree and who's worked in political media for about 40 years here. So this is extremely disturbing to me and others like me. And then you look at the LA Times, which is owned by Dr. Sun Xiong. I forget how to pronounce his name. He follows suit. He's thinking, well, if Jeff Bezos can do this, I can do it too. So when he found out that his editorial board was endorsing Kamala Harris, again, every 4 years, someone gets endorsed. That's what newspapers do. He says no. He puts the kibosh on it. He didn't want her. Well, that's problematic. And there were some other newspapers in that followed suit out of fear. They were obeying in advance. They wanted Trump because their other business interests are what's really important to them. And they're using these newspapers, these venerated newspapers, as a tool to kiss up to Trump. Well, that and $1 million. They kiss up to Trump to get favor from him, to curry favor with him. This is what's happening. We know what Fox has done, of course. And we know that CNN did the same when they changed ownership. They weren't even both siding anymore. They were pretty clearly shilling for Trump. But actually, they were doing that in 2016 because of Jeff Zucker. And I've told you the stories and about how when Trump didn't like what I was saying on CNN, he just picks up the phone and has Jeff Zucker ban me. And Jeff Zucker's, yes, boss. Remember, when Jeff Zucker was head of entertainment at NBC, he greenlit The Apprentice for Trump. And it made both of their careers soar. So Jeff Zucker is definitely Trump's little buddy. And that helped him get the job of running the network. And then Trump says that he helped him get the job at CNN. And in 2015 and 2016, Jeff Zucker was bragging on the record with reporters that he considers himself Trump's personal booker at CNN. He talked to him like almost every day. Now, we had 15 or so other Republican primary candidates. They weren't getting calls. They didn't have Jeff Zucker on speed dial. They didn't. And a lot of them stopped going on CNN. I remember Chris Cuomo one time. I used to do that morning show, and one day he invites me out for breakfast after the show and wanted to pick my brain on how he could, beat Morning Joe and Fox and Friends. And I said, well, what this was like August of 2015. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What's all this Trump coverage? This is insane. And he goes, well, he'll do the show. He'll go on the network. I'm like, that's not news, just whoever will do it. I mean, you guys have to do better at this. And he said that some of the others wouldn't go on the network anymore. And I couldn't believe that because I knew some of these others personally. And we would refer to some of them as media tarts. They don't give up TV. They're running for president. Well, finally, I said, look, every time you have these guys on, all you ask them about is Trump's latest stupid statement, because you guys think that's funny. Because I won't name who they were, but there was one of them. I said, look, the most dangerous place in Washington to be is between this particular candidate and a TV camera. So if he's not going on your network, there's something wrong. And it's because you guys have to get over this thing with Trump. And they're waiting for the real primary to start. They have their own agendas, their own campaign, and they're not going to keep going on TV if all you do is ask them about Trump. So I was giving some pretty good advice. They didn't take it, of course. And it was after that when Trump didn't like what I was saying on TV, I think what I said a couple of things, and he defamed me. Got me banned. That was unprecedented. I've been on TV for decades, a couple thousand times. And I knew that no campaign, I mean, you would really risk getting yourself in trouble with these networks if you were picking up the phone and telling them who they could or couldn't have on. But Trump knew he could do this. He did the same thing at Fox with Roger Ailes. And I think that the people in Washington, the establishment folks who obviously didn't want Trump in 2015, 2016, they thought they ran things, but I don't think they fully appreciated the close personal relationships that Trump had with these media bosses, these TV media bosses in New York. And they were blindsided by it. And that's how it went. So now they're not even hiding it. So you've got these newspapers, several of them, leading with the Washington Post and LA Times, and I forget there are a couple of other major newspapers around the country that followed suit, because once you start that domino effect, everybody's going to do it because they're afraid of Trump. And the corporate owners or the big business owners and the oligarchs are running the show, not journalists. So you have all these people that quit the Post. A couple of the top editorial folks quit the LA Times. These owners don't care because they aren't in the media business to make money. They're in the media business to control the media, to curry favor with politicians, corrupt politicians like Donald Trump, who will do their bidding. I'm right on this, and you know it. Just like Elon Musk, he didn't buy Twitter for the money. He didn't need that kind of money. He bought Twitter for control, to destroy it for Trump, because Twitter was too powerful. Twitter gave voice to smaller voices, gave voice to smaller players who had something to say, people like me. So it's about control. So Elon Musk purposely destroyed Twitter in order to help Trump because he's got a bigger agenda. Twitter's nothing to him. Now we see what Jeff Zuckerberg is doing with the Meta empire with Facebook. No more fact checking. Now, when President Biden was asked about this, he obviously disagreed with it. But no more fact checking. Just community notes, which means I guess MAGA can vote on what they decide the truth is now. It's insane. It's just insane. This is a 100% capitulation by media bosses. And it was so easy for them to do. Doesn't bother them at all. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It might not ever get better. If we have a shot at it getting better, we have to keep on top of it. We have to make sure that everyone knows what's going on so that we know not to subscribe to the Washington Post, not to subscribe to the LA Times. A lot of people are dumping threads in Facebook, Instagram. No fact checking. Anything goes. It is the wild, wild west out there, folks. So we are in for a world of hurt. It's not going to be a good 4 years. I don't know how we get our media back, but for now, you've got independent voices like me out there keeping you informed. There are good reporters out there. I have certain things that I look at. I scour people who are on social media reporting things and pushing out content. There might be a reporter somewhere at a smaller publication or media outlet that we don't normally visit, but we can highlight their work and give them almost the equivalent of an audience of what the Washington Post used to have. It's going to take some work on our part, but we don't have a choice, And we have seen some small victories. So this is our way to communicate, to give information, to highlight news items that you're not going to see anywhere else. You're not going to see this stuff on Fox News. By the way, I speak with authority. I was on Fox News hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. I was probably on Fox more than any other cable network over the years, over the course of 17 or 20 years. And I know how they've changed. And they started out that maybe they were leaning more right wing, but they weren't withholding actual information and they weren't lying. They had a bias. Fair and balanced, they used to call themselves. They are way past that. So Fox News is no longer news. And I say this as somebody who spent a lot of time at all three of the cable networks and as well as other media outlets. Fox News is not news. They are dangerous. They are absolutely dangerous. And there are a few others. And remember, Newsmax is where, when the Me Too stuff started, Fox News had to shed a lot of people, a lot of guys, a lot of the guys that got in trouble. So many of them end over at Newsmax. Well, what Roger Ailes did is when he needs to get rid of somebody at Fox, if he can't out and out fire them, he'll bump them down or out to some local Fox affiliates around the country. That's how he gets rid of them. And at least one of them got pushed out at that next job and now is at Newsmax for some of the same shenanigans. You know, when you got a famous daddy, they can cover up a lot of misdeeds. But you've noticed this, that Newsmax, a couple other places, it's where disgraced sexual predators and weirdos from Fox News have to go once they can't even stay at Fox News anymore because of what they've done. So, journalism is in very, very bad shape here. I don't think we're ever going to be able to go back to having the type of work that was done at the Washington Post during Watergate and some of the other things. Uh, so, right now, this is what we have. You get me in my various fleeces throughout the winter. I'm wearing 3 shirts, by the way. It's so cold. I'm pulling a Steve Bannon. Only the difference is I've actually showered. But I'll keep doing this, and we know others are too. But yeah, we're not gonna have the fancy setup like you might see on cable news. But you get the real deal, and you know that we don't have corporate bosses telling us what we can or can't say. So I say a lot here. And keep your suggestions coming to me about the types of things you'd like to see me investigate and talk about and reveal and highlight on my YouTube channel. It's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, I hope you will subscribe. And I hope you'll try and get others to subscribe as well. And we can turn this into something. So, anyway, I'm not going to give up hope yet. We're going to find a way to get what we need to from journalism. We just have to remake it. We have to retake it so that the Jeff Bezos of the world can't just end us so easily. So we'll figure it out.